This is the last time. One more time.
All right. Okay, we're going to go for that.
Thirds a charm.
Three's a charm. Okay. I'm Pamela Courtney from the Historic Port Royal Foundation, and today we're talking to Mayor Henry Robinson. Thank you for coming and chatting with us, Henry. And today I would like to start off asking about your early days, your childhood, what you like to do, your family, in school.
Yes, ma'am. I was born right here in Port Royal, and I love to fish crab. In my early love, I love to cook, and I'm the second of 14 children. And I love to cook fish, crab, whatever, and just go around and visit. In my early life, being it, mayor, loved to travel and get different ideas from the different mayors from the state of South Carolina. But by all means, I love the fish and crab.
Fishing crab. And how old were you when the first time you did that?
Oh, gee, I was in my early age. It was my teenage early age at that time. I can't remember exactly, you know. But right now, I'm up there. I'm, 86 now? My early life, I just love to, and I'm the second of 14 children. And by all means, I love to raise, experiment when I'm cooking. That's what I love to do, is experiment on what I'm cooking, make sure that it tastes good to my tasting, you know, and then maybe be good to somebody else's. And I worked on Parasol and that earlier. My second job was when I went to Parasol, and I only had 2 jobs in my life, and working at the drugstore in town, and then I went to on Parasol, second job, and I love to experiment. When I say experiment, like we had the mascot for the Commanding General, bulldog. I made and designed a uniform for that dog, and then I had them to bring the dog at the shop where I was working, and to try the uniform on the dog to make sure it fits. And the dog, of course, it didn't smell so good, but anyway, I just love to experiment, love to. And as I said, I'm second of 14 children. And then by me being more experienced, you know, I was like the head leader of the family.
Okay. Where did you go to school, elementary school?
Elementary school, let me put it this way. Now, where the trailer park is, there was one-room school there. And from there, I went Port Royal Elementary, not the school now that it is, but it's the Port Royal Elementary School, like going up to the trailer park. And it was only one room. And from there, I went to Robert Smalls High School. And that's where I went.
Do you remember how many students were in your class?
No, ma'am, I don't remember. But we only had, at that time, in one room, only have one person to teach the whole class, regardless of whatever is on there. She would teach and let us know, you know, whatever. Then we could ask questions or whatever. And from there, I went to Robert Smalls.
Then, what were the things, you said that you like to experiment with food. You know, I just wanted to hop back into that. What's your favorite dish to fix?
My favorite dish? Anything that tastes good to me.
Anything tastes good to you. So we move along with from your education. How did you become a tailor?
Okay, let me put it this way. I was working at the drugstore, and a friend of mine introduced me to the tailor shop, and that's where I went to the tailor shop. and we deal with strictly with recruits, male recruits. Now they did have another section for the female, which we had females tailors to go down at 3rd Battalion, and do some fitting and bring it up to the shop. And of course we have had some at the shop, tailor shop, they had machine operators. And machine operators, and what they would do is do the uniform and send it up in another department, which I was part of. Check the uniform, make sure it's sold right. And if it's not sold right, we take it back to the machine operator. And that's how I began to try to mold, experiment, and teach them, the right way how to do this and how to fix this and all that. But and my biggest experience is, as I said, the design and made that uniform for the general mascot, the dog.
Oh, dog. When you talk about the drugstore, where was the drugstore in relationship to where we are now?
On Carteret Street.
Okay.
It was on Carteret Street in Beaufort. And then there was the bank on the corner, and what I've done is deliver the medication to the person that ordered. Had one little Jeep, I used to drive that little Jeep and deliver the medicine, but it was on Carteret Street. Mm-hmm.
And so you would deliver the medications and
You're right.
Right. For delivery, kind of like an Uber today, that you were out there already driving around. And what were the roads like during that time?
Beg your pardon?
What were the roads like?
Oh boy, the road was good. Now, to tell you this too, like it says Old Shell Road, and that road was nothing but crack up shells. That's how that name got there.
Okay.
And then that's why they call it Old Shell Road. And it was rough. And then later, that's when pavement came in later to redo the road. Mm-hmm.
What are growing up and being working at the pharmacy, in the tailor shop? Is there something, a special memory that you have, or maybe the most funny memory that you have, or something that sticks out in your head?
The only thing that sticks out in my head now is, like I mentioned, is about design and made that uniform for the dog. Mm.
And was the general happy with the uniform?
Oh, by all means. And let me tell you one other thing. Experience what I've done for my first wife, as I might have mentioned, is made a dress for a wedding for my wife, not Linda, but the first wife, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And I just love to do some sewing. But right now I got lazy, so I don't do my sewing, don't do any sewing now.
Yeah.
No.
So what got you interested in being a council member, and then we'll talk about being a mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Being a council member, what it is, the people resident in certain areas, they wanted somebody, not being racial, they want somebody black on the council. And by me being so involved in the community, then they have gotten together in that area and said they want somebody. And so they realize how active I be in the community. So they decided to get together and said that they would have put me in office. That's how I got started with politics. And,
what year was that?
Boy, I really don't remember what the year.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And since I became mayor, I have traveled a lot because the town of Port Royal have sent me on different trips. And what have happened is that I can learn from the other mayors from the different towns of their policy and how they do it. In other words, I've learned a lot. We share information together, and then I bring it back to council, and I decided to bring it back to them, rather, and then discuss it with them. Then they would get together, council members, the members, not the mayor. I bring it to them, then they would decide. But see, a lot of people realize that being the mayor, that doesn't mean that he's really the little boss, but he oversees whatever the council members, because the council members, they do have the last say. Actually, it's just like Congress.
Mm-hmm. And what was one of the most unusual incidents that you had while you were mayor?
The unusual incident? It wasn't no unusual incident.
Like getting calls in the middle of the night, or?
No, ma'am. No, not that.
And challenges. If you